and eventually home to my bride. As I was standing there, minding my own business, achieving the American dream, now you look like me, you're standing in Florida, chances are people are not running up to you mistaking you to be an ambassador for Zig Ziglar. The lady next to me, and I don't like to be rude, looked like she'd fallen asleep in a salad bar. She had a hat with a whole fruit number working. With a little guilt in her eyes, she beckoned for me to do something. You see, earlier she had observed me pick up my bags and put them in the van. It's something I do out of habit, I guess. She looked at me, and realizing that people who look like me may not understand English, she used her nose, which doubled as a pointer, and asked me to pick up her bags and put them in the van, which I did. The gentleman standing next to her now wanted to get involved in this little immigrant episode, so he asked me to put his bags in the van, which I did too. At that point, I decided to cash in on my American dream and went for the tip. She gave me $2. The gentleman gave me $2. I was standing there minding my own business. They were ignorant. I made $4. What a country, man. Now, when I got into the van, the dude who was sitting next to me suddenly realized for the very first time that I might possibly be a passenger on the same flight he was about to take. He looked at my luggage tag, which said something different from how I looked. It said Director of International Operations for Zig Ziglar. Folks, you don't need to know who I am, but chances are, if you're one of the traveling public, you know who he is. With trepidation in his voice and a little stutter, he patted me ever so gingerly and said, "Oh my God, I made a colossal mistake." I said, "You ain't getting your money back." At which point he said the words that make the story tellable. See, folks, people who come from far-off lands do get victimized at times. But one of the things that I have learned from the Merchant of Hope, Zig Ziglar, is, on the day of productivity, refuse to participate in the process known as victimization. Because when I went through that little ordeal, here are the words that gentleman said to me in the van. He said, "I wish all my employees had your attitude," and ultimately that's what it was. So my talk is called The Immigrant's Attitude, Grateful for the Generosity of a Nation. I truly believe America is that golden door hidden away from roughly 5.5 billion people who will never have the opportunity or the privilege to smell the air of freedom. See, when Emma Lazarus wrote The New Colossus in 1893, that was later inscribed on the Statue of Liberty in 1903 with words that went like this: "Keep ancient lands your storied pomp," cried she with silent lips. "Send me your poor, your tired, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these your homeless tempest-tossed to me. I'll lift my lamp beside the golden door." She was talking about people like you and me who come with a dream, an aspiration and a hope, a desire for just plain old-fashioned justice, so you can wake up every morning and say, "Today I want to just get a fighting chance. Not be hit by a bullet, not be gunned down by some madman, but just a fighting chance to live in liberty and freedom, far from oppression and hidden from decadence." On a bright September morning, terrorists altered the landscape of this beautiful land. In one sweeping moment, madmen destroyed and forever obliterated from the landscape of a harbor symbols of purity, justice, and freedom. But immigrants like myself have been sailing into this land for years beyond the Twin Towers went up. Long before they ever graced the skyline of New York, Lady Liberty held her torch up and welcomed people like me to the shores of opportunity. What the terrorists destroyed was man's mortal desire to erect architectural monuments, with it thousands of lives. What they will never be able to destroy is the unyielding resolve and the heart of a people who will rise like a phoenix from the dust, because America is and always will be God's gift to this planet. When a school teacher from Colorado Springs went on top of Pikes Peak in Colorado Springs and penned those magnificent words and said, "Oh, beautiful for patriot dreams, that sees beyond the years, that alabaster cities gleam undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea." She was talking about moments like this. Yes, we will shed tears, but they will be tears of optimism, because there is not another land like